Currently 4:30, as you can see. This is the pattern of conduct that I'm documenting. I captured video at 4:10 p.m. and I also captured what is group stalking by Figure 8 and the third party Sarah Chambliss, who is an employee of Figure 8. Those are nothing other than means of identifying third parties. And she is running out off the scene. I already captured her license plate. She's driving the black Jeep. She's group stalking with LAPD, who flew over my head. That's a demon. Same impossible light activity. Actually moves across the black gate while she's scuttling her demonic self right on off the scene, because she knows what I'm doing on my phone. And I want to let you know, you know that because you're looking at the specific environment. So I want to document a couple things. Sarah Chambliss is going to federal prison, and I will tell you why. The entity is engaging in what is the pattern. You just saw at 4:10 p.m. The entity is amplifying the sound of helicopter activity seconds after I walk into my office, after they listen to me, they being the whole entity that's keeping me under surveillance. And you know that conclusively because the sun is not over the Fontana Lewis Library like it was on March 22nd, 2022, because the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department would like to contend that no, we're not demons. We don't even know the targeted individual's name. We were minding our business. We didn't even know that they were there. We were walking to our cars. We were laughing at da-da-da-da-da-da-da. They were all of the above. All of it's legally irrelevant as well, because you're understanding what is the recognition for prosecution of federal group stalking and monitoring, and it is going to be based upon the unnatural environment, which is revealed not only through the maintenance of the light source, but through the directed light conduct that the entity is engaging in. And an entirely different San Bernardino County, you got demons doing that, which is impossible, thousands and thousands of times. You have the entity doing that in Los Angeles. You could limit the prosecution even to San Bernardino County if the entity wasn't idiotic enough to do it again right here, okay? But that's what the entity did. It's impossible. Impossible light activity, in the same way that your shadow doesn't appear magnified. That's that engineered light. You see the entity moving inside of my apartment, that you see demons crossing path, moving all across building 1818 into the staircase, hallway, all over the doors, all over the walls. That demon's name is Sarah Chambliss, and she's affiliated a company that she would like to represent on the on the worldwide internet as being dignified, would love to lease your property. She has a real estate license and everything. Let me be clear, that's a demon, okay? And she's a demon acting with the demons that are sending helicopter activity. As I'm writing down, not writing down, but documenting her and taking images. And remember, the entity is monitoring on my phone. It's Title 18 criminal activity, and I'm going to capture it in this video because she's going to federal prison at 4:24 p.m. Sorry if you couldn't see what I was saying. At 4:24 p.m. I'm capturing these images on my phone. Sarah Chambliss is going to federal prison. She's affiliated with Figure 8. She's on the grounds, engaged in what is relevant positioning and light activity. As you see her crossing path, the light source is over me, and I'm getting her license plate. She is crossing path at the specific environment. You are at the crime scene, engaging in the state's pattern of conduct. That's exactly what I'm documenting. And as I capture these images, immediately the entity, the demon-possessed one, engages in what is its show of hostility, amplifying helicopter activity. And that is the significance of what I wrote down here. With simultaneity to my documenting a third-party group stalker, the entity is sounding helicopter activity, which is both a terrorizing threat to your life and your safety and your well-being. The entity is also engaging in what are the elements of monitoring. That amplified helicopter activity is also accomplishing group stalking. Moving in this engineer light, presence in the engineer light is called light activity. Light activity is how you are monitoring. You are engaged in massive monitoring while people are maintaining presence all around you, engaging in ongoing activity creation, while they're all demons conducting themselves as though they are not concerned about you, like they don't need, and they don't have to. They don't have to. But I want to be clear: the population has a spirit. It's the same spirit, different people, same spirit, and they're all engaging in what is activity creation that's centered around the target individual. And you know that because they're in an environment where the sun is not over the Fontana Lewis Library, which was the case on March 22nd, 2022. So let's revisit what we saw on March 22nd, 2022, because I came nowhere near the Los Angeles Alvarado Gardens, where, by the way, not only, before we do that, let's remember what happened this morning. The entity engaged in what was the demonic imitation of a sunrise, and that was through my apartment here at the same property. So I want you to see that before you understand the significance of what is in every way the pattern of conduct. And this is the light source. This is engineer light. This is at 6:36 in the morning, and that's the light source through my window, through my living room window. I am facing that same hillside. So as I'm talking, this video is kind of lengthy. It's 26 minutes long. The entity is progressing with its so-called sunrise. That is engineer light. That's the engineered light you see across on my ceiling. It has nothing to do with the light source. In the same way that that's not even the sun that's hovering down over the same property as Sarah Chambliss' crossing path being documented as engaging in group stalking with the state that amplified helicopter activity as I documented her name and company. This is the sunrise though through my living room window. Want to be clear. This is that same hillside right here. This is the same hillside, and my living room window is in this direction, building 1806. Okay, so big story. Big picture. This is the office I'm inside of right now. This is my apartment building. This is the hillside where the sunrise is occurring. I am outside watching Sarah Chambliss engage in group stalking in my face. The entity is flying over in a helicopter, and the light source is over this building right here, building 1802, while I'm diagonal to my leasing office where I stand. This is where the sunrise was. Through my living room window, this is where I'm standing right now. This is where the sun remains present right now, and it is currently 4:36 p.m. That is speaking to the pattern of conduct, and the maintenance of that light source right now is impossible to coexist with regard to the natural environment with what happened on March 22nd. Not only did I leave the presence of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department at 9:03 in the morning and third-party group stalker UPS at approximately 10:30 in the morning. This is the light source over me. While the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department are in the path.
Los Angeles County Sheriff, they're standing.
Okay, I get on the bus, I go to Fontana, California, but let's get the light source because this is where I'm at. I'm at 101 South Main Street, 9:03 in the morning. Light source is right over my head. Wow, that's called crossing path, just like Sarah Chambliss is doing at the same property where the sunrise occurred today. Where at 9:03 it was never over 101 South Main Street. This is the light source that is remaining over me here while I am in Los Angeles at the same property at that. Okay, this is, again, let me show you this. The entity is monitoring on my phone, so that's what that's about. My internet works perfectly fine. This is monitoring. The entity is engaging in, let me show you the light source because I want you to see the object. I know you saw the video, but I want you to see the object. The light source itself. Understand, this is what monitoring is. And this is what losers do when they cannot stand facts, including sounding helicopter activity because they're both cowards and they're demons, all right, and they're psychopaths, all right? But this is monitoring. This is not a malfunction of internet at all. Hold on, that's good. That's educational for you to witness. Oops. Alrighty.
Direct light is
Alright, the entity is monitoring on my phone. That's what that's about.
Los Angeles 7 SME 370. While direct light is all over, that's direct light.
This is 9:03 in the morning.
They don't have any forms. This is the demon possessed. They've been engaged in.
That's repeatedly crossing paths, just like Sarah Chambliss is, while the light source is over my head at 1810 North Alvarado Street in Los Angeles at 4:30. It's 4:38 p.m. Okay.
Surveillance sitting inside of this little coffee shop. That's impossible light. Okay. This is P.O.C. That's the fake sun.
This is the light source over me at on March 22nd, 2022. I get on the bus. The light source is remaining over me. We went over this already. The light source remains over me as I'm documenting the people of the state acting via what is UPS. This is engineered light. This is the pattern. This is what's moving across the building. While Jeanette Balderas is crossing path in my previous video, she's crossing path in engineered light, like you've already seen, impossible light activity, directed light as I've referred to it. It's not sunlight. It does not coexist. It does not ever naturally happen when you're driving a car. It's entirely demonic. It's the mark of a stalker and a demon-possessed one. This is engineered light on the ground. That's a molestation of my person.
This is the sex offender monitoring.
And that's the engineered light all over that demon's face that's wearing a UPS uniform. And the light source is directly over my head. Okay, so we went over this, and I want you to look at that. Because I got on the bus and I went to the Fontana Lewis Library, which I documented my travel. The light source is over me on the bus that day. So this is to say, there's no sun that's remaining over Alvarado Gardens. There is no sun that is remaining over Alvarado Gardens, over my head while I'm standing in front of my office, while I'm standing in front of my apartment, while I'm standing in front of building 1800, while I'm standing in front of building 1810, 1812, 1814, while I'm standing in front of building 1816, going on the 3rd floor, capturing the light source directly above my head at this property, which is 1800 North Alvarado Street. There's no sun that's here. It's clearly over me on public transportation, going toward Fontana on Route 61. Every single street, every single turn, the light source remains over me. Okay, this is documenting that.
I was here doing the 8 o'clock hour.
All right, so I'm just showing you street for street, turn for turn, and I arrive, as you already know, the light source was over my apartment at 12:53 p.m. today, hovering over my head. But it's over me at the Fontana Lewis Library on March 22nd, 2022. Here it is, right over my head.
Here's the light source right here. The clock.
Okay, that is clearly, that at 8437 is not over building 1806 at 1806 North Alvarado Street, directly over my head as I'm standing in front of my apartment building, like you saw on video today at 12:53 in the afternoon. Do I need to remind you about what you saw? Because it was right there above my head as I captured that. And just for a second, I'm not going to go through the whole video, but I want you to remember what I captured, because I captured it for a reason.
12:53 p.m. and
yeah, here's the light source over my head.
I am at.
That's the light source over my apartment building right here in Los Angeles at 12:53 in the afternoon. While in that video, I go on to discuss how the fact that the light source is over me at 8437 Sierra Avenue in Fontana, California. Not only do I remain here, I remain at the Fontana Lewis Library.
Right over me.
Okay, this is where I'm at. While I'm walking, the light source moves over me as I'm walking to the entrance. I'm walking to the entrance doors, and the light source remains directly above my head, which is entirely demonic, and it's an impossible occurrence, by the way. That's a hovering light source that moves as I move. Now, I want to be clear. While you're looking, for example, here's an example. Let me give you an example right here. These third parties right here, these third parties that are walking in the opposite direction, the light source is not remaining over their head while they walk away from me. You see the light source going in the direction that I'm walking. This is not the shared experience of the third parties who are in that specific environment. The light source is not moving to remain over Sarah Chambliss while she is driving off of the property, going back to figure 8. It remains right here. It remains right here, outside of my office. And then this is where the entity is remaining with the light source all day long. While Jeanette Balderas, who is at this time working for the medical field, she'll be done with that. But where she goes to work, the sun is not remaining directly over her like I'm documenting is the case. This is not the natural environment. And where you are, where you're looking up at the sun and you're looking at this light object that's above you, it's not the sun. This is an unnatural environment. It's impossible. The light source is remaining here, and it's right here. This is over, what is that, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. That was 10 hours ago. All right, and then you've got the evidence of it. It's not even going to be over this address. How did I get it over the Fontana Lewis Library?
All right, it is.
That's not the same. The two are not the same. This is not the same. That's not the same. Not the same location. This is not over the Fontana Lewis Library in San Bernardino County right now, creating my shadow at this location, remaining sunrise here, and this is the sunset, remember, is through my bedroom window, okay, which I'm also looking at. That is also speaking to what Sarah Chambliss in figure 8 is documented engaging in, and this is why Sarah Chambliss is going to federal prison while I'm documenting a third-party group stalker, the entity that threatens your life. While you document it, Sarah Chambliss is the entity. The entity sounds helicopter activity to pose the highest threat, where you want to engage in ongoing obstruction of justice by making criminal threats as the government that's already threatening your life by keeping you under surveillance. You go to federal prison for that. And that's what I'm documenting at 4:24 p.m., where the entity is stalking me with the creation of audible activity in the form of what is helicopter, which the entity is doing so with the unlawful purpose to intimidate and harass and terrorize, psychologically torment, with real-time knowledge of the fact that I'm documenting this third-party group stalker who was still in the parking lot driving out as she knew I started my cell phone and I was walking outside. She's still crossing paths, by the way. She's not fleeing the scene. She's not in any way ceasing to engage in the pattern of conduct. While she drives out, Engineer Light, first of all, moves across the black gate, and she's still in the path. She's group stalking while she's driving off. That's just a coward that doesn't want her face on camera, and she can't face the facts that I'm speaking about her right now, but she's still monitoring, okay? The P.O.C. is underway. She's still engaged in criminal facilitation. And she is the one who is threatening my life while LAPD wants to sound helicopter activity. And I want to remind you about what I did. I remained on March 22nd, 2022, where the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department are documented group stalkers. And what you also know is the fact that their condition is one of demon possession, which is a prerequisite of engaging in this demonic system. This is demonic activity. It's not an ordinary crime. It's demonic activity. Because it's underway by the government, it is entirely criminal and in violation of your constitutional rights, because the state doesn't have a right to keep you under surveillance. That's what that is when you're following from place to place and remaining wherever the targeted individual is, in police vehicles or in helicopters, or in doing so through fire departments and through all other actors of the state. This is how you're recognizing the maintenance of presence, and you're understanding that presence in that specific environment. So you're not in any way stating, oh, I'm not stalking because I don't know the target individual. You're stalking because the entity is maintaining the specific environment, which you are readily capable of identifying. The sun is not over the Fontana Lewis Library, which is where it remained. That's how I captured the light source on March 22nd at 6:02 p.m. Pay attention, because this is where I'm at. On March 22nd, 2022.
This is a demon intentionally crossing a path in engineered light. This is the second level of the
So
library.
while I'm documenting, I want you to see the light source. Okay, I am inside of the Fontana Lewis Library. This is where I'm at. On March 22nd, 2022, after leaving the presence of a third-party group stalker, namely UPS, who's engaging in the sex offense. While they're engaging in the criminal elements monitoring in the specific environment, you are recognizing the targeting conduct by that environment. They engage in stalking in the path with light activity. That's what Lorraine Pena's relative is engaging in while the light source is over me, while engineered lights moving underneath her black Jeep. Pay attention to that snippet video so you can see that demonic activity underway by a Nova Contractors employee. That's the specific environment. That's the demonic activity. That's the hallmark, okay? While the entity is stalking in a helicopter, capturing that, and the entity is keeping the light source over the apartment building. Okay, I want to be clear. While I am inside, while I am standing in front of the parking lot, this is where I'm standing outside in front of the parking lot, and the light source is over my head over this apartment building. The light source being here, creating my shadow right under my person. The light source is here. It is not outside of the window of 8437 Sierra Avenue, which is where I'm at 6:02 p.m. The entity is maintaining a light source
Now, usually I'm
through my bedroom window. Through my bedroom window. After 6 p.m., which I've already documented.
First level, this is directed light that's being aimed.
That's the light source.
Into the depths of the library on the second level. That is directed light that is moving up here at the top. And that's...
In addition, what I'm pointing out again is the fact that impossible light activity like Universal Waste, like Tiffany Cherez, like Jeanette Balderas, like Nova Contractors did underneath a car, all right? Oh, that is the engineered light that's coexisting with your movement in the environment, as though you're moving in the sunlight creates ricocheting light, all like we're living in an arcade. That's not the case. That's called engineered light. That's the identification of a stalker. Okay, the light source remaining over you for the duration of the day, everybody in that environment, that's the identification of a stalker. What is so appalling is that the stalkers are wearing badges. They're calling themselves police departments. Some of the most well-known police departments in this country, if not in the world. And you need to know their condition. Okay, these are demons that are in positions that they are going to be removed from. They are stalking in that environment, and they're stalking with helicopters with the specific criminal purpose to terrorize and threaten and harass someone as an entity. LAPD is not doing it by themselves. LAPD is of a demon-possessed population that are together secretly keeping an American citizen under surveillance in such horrific and unheard of methods. It is that which is designed to not be believed by anyone. By the way, there's no one to report it to where the state itself, where these so-called medical professionals themselves are engaged in the P.O.C. Not that there is any basis to study or bring into controversy the mind state of the targeted individual. The pattern of conduct brings into the mind state, makes directly relevant the mind state of the entity engaged in the pattern of conduct. The entity is engaged in what is criminal defamation for purposes of obstruction of justice. These are the same courthouses, these are the same medical professionals, these are the same sheriff's departments maintaining these facilities that are documented group stalkers. Namely, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, so the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department as well. Engaging in kidnapping at the outset because these police officers are engaging in criminal surveillance, not exercising any lawful authority under the, having no authority under the law. They're engaging in criminal surveillance. Okay, so I want to be clear what's relevant to why Sarah Chambliss is going to federal prison. She is indeed in the specific environment. And on March 22nd, 2022, if that was the natural environment, then there is no sun that's going to be over me while I'm standing outside in the parking lot facing standing outside in the parking lot at the same address, and you're looking at the light source that's over building 1802 facing me, and that's why my shadow is on this side of my person. And in the morning when I'm standing in front of my same office, the light source is here and my shadow is on this side of my person. This is all the entity is doing, keeping the light source for the duration of the day, engaging in what is an unpersuasive and entirely illogical and asinine demonic imitation of the natural environment. And it's not even a realistic imitation, because the sun is not, this is stagnation. Going from this side to this side is non-movement. That's not movement of the light source. It is highlighted when you stay at one location all day long. Okay, but it's also seen when you travel to another location, regardless of whether I stay here all day, and let's say I go to Starbucks, any Starbucks, because they're all group stalking. I go to any Starbucks on Glendale Boulevard, for example, the light source will stay over that Starbucks all day long. That is still showing the pattern of conduct. And that's what I've also documented. So you're going to juxtapose March 22nd, 2022, the light source is over the Fontana Lewis Library. There's no sun that's going to be over me while you're looking at Sarah Chambliss walking under that light source. That's the identification of a stalker, and doing so under the malicious guise of, oh, I'm here to do business with speaker companies and lease out your apartment. That's the factual basis upon which you're engaging in criminal activity for which there is no legal excuse. And you're doing so on behalf of a corrupt state that likes to use helicopters to terrorize people. And you yourself are also a terrorist. That's what group stalkers are. This is terrorism in America, while they're engaging in what is the violation of your freedom, in violation of your constitutional and human rights. And it's entirely demonic. This is not visible through the Fontana Lewis Library, which is, the light source stays there at this time. That's the conclusion. That's what you understand, because that's why it's still there at 6:02 in the evening, where I'm showing you light activity creation. That's the light source through the window of Sierra Avenue. I'm facing Sierra Avenue.
That are engaging in surveillance. This is crossing path in the same way that they're
all right, excuse me. That's the same Sierra Avenue, by the way,
light
that I'm present looking at while I am capturing Sergeant Rice on Seville of the Fontana Police Department, and engineer light is all over his face. Sierra Avenue is across street with Seville. I've already captured. This is the pattern of conduct in Fontana. This is the pattern of conduct here in Los Angeles now, where by virtue of engaging what is the maintenance of the light source from the duration of the day, going through all of that analysis, and this is where you get at. That's not the natural environment and in Fontana, nor is this the natural environment in Los Angeles. Neither one of them are capable of occurring in the natural environment. Neither one. Okay, and while you compare the two, you're seeing what neither one of them can both occur at the same time either. Under no circumstances is the sun creating any of this light activity that you see. Under no circumstances is the sun going to be present at one address from the beginning to the end of the day. All right, and so let's remember what the entity is doing inside of my bedroom, where I'm under surveillance inside of my private space, which is the sex offense committed by the entity that's also engaged in workplace terrorism. And this is documentation of the entity engaged in workplace terrorism and harassment and sexual violence by an entity, because I want you to recall the documentation while you're looking at the light source that's right here over my in alignment to my face over building 1802 at the same property, okay, where I live at this property. The entity is engaging in what is a so-called an alleged sunrise, okay, that is to the exclusion of ever being over the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. All right, but this is what the entity is doing on a day-to-day basis. So while I'm capturing the light source at 5:34 in the afternoon, the entity is maintaining the light source through my bedroom window. And this is my bedroom window. Okay, and so this is what's going to happen right here. So this is what I'm capturing on a day-to-day basis. First of all, you're talking about let's big picture again. UPS is group stalking at 11 in the morning. The light source was over this building while I'm on the 3rd floor. Look at this movement of the light. This is supposedly the sun. It moved in this direction. Okay, so this is east. So this is west. This is west, and the entity is engaging what is rising the light source from the east to the west side of my apartment. I'm looking at it through the windows from the beginning to the end of the day. In addition to that, while the light source is over me here, you're looking at what is a migration. This is north. This is north. Well, this is north or south. I don't have a compass on me, forgive me, but this is the direction west. The entity's light source is moving in this direction to be in alignment to me here, and that's 11 in the morning, 11:34, 11 where I documented it, and this is going to work. What time is it? It's 4:54 p.m. and this is the same property. This is my shadow here. This is not some misconception of depth. This is not present over any building in Fontana, let alone the 8437 Sierra Avenue. It's right here where the entity is engaging in the demonic pattern. Engineer light underneath that car while Nova Contractors is moving. reversing, impossible light activity, my enlarged magnified shadow moving across my vehicle, which sunlight does not create that. That's the engineered light present. These are the hallmarks. The entity stalking by helicopter. This is the ongoing terrorism that's underway. All of these third parties that live, this is ongoing systematic surveillance that's underway at a third party facilitating venue. This is not a private residential community. Nobody is exercising any First Amendment privacy rights. Everybody's engaged in a criminal system in concert with the state, in the shoes of the state, that wanted to amplify helicopter activity while I'm documenting Sarah Chambliss. And by virtue of engaging in that, Sarah Chambliss is going to federal prison. Sarah Chambliss does not have, in the name of the corrupt government which she's monitoring with, the right to threaten my life and my safety and my mental well-being, while you want to be engaging in what is sexual violence and harassment and terrorism as a group stalker, and then hostile because you're being documented. That's a psychopath. The same psychopaths that are monitoring via minor children, okay? Exhibit A. The light source is remaining over the Fontana Lewis Library, and it is not going to be over what is the building 1802 in Los Angeles, California. That's called the pattern of conduct. And you're looking at what is impunity on an ongoing basis. Acting in concert with the state that is maintaining presence over, this is the light source, and this is the entity that's group stalking in the sky space. That's P.O.C. That's the ongoing environment. So the entity is maintaining this specific environment, and I want you to pay attention to the audible activity of a violent sex offender who is engaged in federal stalking in concert with that entity, engaging in what is criminal monitoring in concert with that entity that uses helicopters, and you're looking at what is stalking, and this is the stalker that's stating, please do not document me while I'm stalking you. That's literally the substance of what that third party just said. She's going to federal prison. Those minor children cannot be removed soon enough, but this is understanding what is a psychopath, okay? The entity is engaging in what is the maintenance of this light source, and it's not over the Fontana Lewis Library, and it's also present through my living room window while that sex offender and that group stalker that's crossing path in order to monitor me with LAPD is creating that audible activity, which is a threat to your life. That's a psychopath. Okay, this is the light source that's through my bedroom window.
And those demons do that with ongoing real-time knowledge of
Okay,
the fact
by
that
the
they're
way,
being documented. They're present while the entity is targeting.
My bedroom window is over here. So the light source is going to be over this building to be seen after 5 p.m., after 6 p.m. through my bedroom window. And this is the light source that's here right now. Okay, while you've got a demon-possessed group stalker that is engaging, including minor children in that series of federal offenses, while she's monitoring, because that's all you're doing living at the crime scene. That's all you're doing in concert with the entity that flies over with simultaneity to your demonic activity, flying over a helicopter while you're doing so with your minor children, and then you hear that audible activity. Okay, that's why, let me be clear, the federal government's not going to hesitate. All right, these third-party group stalkers have a lot coming for them. So anyway, it's currently 4:57 p.m. I just want to document that. That's Sarah Chambliss, and the entity's audible activity, that is a third-party group stalker that's speaking on behalf of the state. That's the state telling you, do not document me while I am stalking you and threatening your life. Understand that? Everything that they say, everything that they're doing it on behalf of the state. They're not exercising any independent rights. There is no freedom of speech when you're group stalking with the state. And that includes on the venue of the internet. All right, it is currently 4:57 p.m. This is workplace terrorism that Figure 8 is documented engaging in. Group stalking at the property, and the entity wants to sound helicopter activity, which is engagement in the criminal elements of monitoring. And I just want to make sure I outline that specific environment that is present while the entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct. All right, so what you're also going to pay attention is how the third party is crossing my path, engaging in what is walking right in front of me, and I'm not going to stop doing what I was doing before she wanted to engage in group stalking in my face, this is the psychopath that's threatening your life. You're a group stalker, you're representing the state. Those demons that are engaging in what is stalking, criminally defaming, kidnapping, and then engaging in what is ongoing group stalking, even while they're kidnapping you in all of these facilities, as I've documented. Okay, that's the entity that's talking, that is going out of their way to cross path. That's the entity that's making those statements. That's relevant to the mental examinations, and that's exactly what I mean. The entity is doing so on an ongoing basis while you're engaged in the criminal activity in concert and on behalf of the state in the specific environment that is not shared with the Fontana Lewis Library, which is where the light source remained on March 22nd, 2022. That's not visible over building 1802, and that's not going to be present through my bedroom window at 5:34 p.m. What's happening on March 22nd, 2022, and that's all relevant with regard to understanding what is stalking with the light source, because it's all relevant to the same time of year. So what's going on what was May 6th through my bedroom window is directly telling with regard to what happened on March 22nd, 2022. This is how you're understanding and getting to the recognition of the specific environment, because it's not the natural environment. And then you are going to go even further, and you're going to prosecute for the criminal and life-threatening and necessarily demented mind state of that entity that's keeping you under surveillance, that says things like you just heard Precious Bustillos. And let me be clear, that demon knows that I captured her images. I took pictures of her social security number because the state doesn't have any privacy. Okay? Because you're a group stalker, you don't have any privacy. You're in the shoes of the state. You're not exercising any privacy. Everything that you say, you're going to use it against the entity that's group stalking you with the people. All right, but that psychopath knows that she was documented by Face today. Her mug documented, and this is a hostile demon. Okay, so I just want to make sure while you're using your children, okay, to engage in that, which is abuse you're engaging in on tape. She chose to be in the parking lot. She chose to get out and walk in front of my camera. She literally chose to do that. Okay, and that's audible activity while she is communicating a threat on behalf of the state, LAPD. And she's going to federal prison for that. It is currently 5 p.m., and that's the maintenance of the light source. That's directly relevant to not only what Sarah Chambliss is engaging in and facilitating, but it's also directly relevant to what you witnessed the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. It's the same thing that the Los Angeles Police Department are doing. Those demons are group stalking in helicopters, and they're also engaging in what is the communication of a threat by the entity. And while the entity does so, as you document that entity, and Sarah Chambliss goes to federal prison for it. So I want to make sure that I spell that out. And she is also seen at the crime scene crossing path, not only on my camera, but also while she's scuttling off the crime scene, still monitoring on her way out. All right, engineered light was moving across the black gate, an absolutely impossible occurrence. But I've documented it before. It is currently 5 p.m. and this is P.O.C.